Yeah. So yeah, that's important that you laid out, the context of all that. Because it's for one, it's the book of Matthew, you know, and obviously Matthew 24, like you said, verse 13, there's an enduring process. This is tribulational. And so goes back to what we said some last episode, when we get to, which we didn't read, but later on in the chapter when it talks about no man knoweth the day or hour. Well, this is dealing with stuff that happens at, just like the book of Revelation is around the day of the Lord, which is the tribulation, and the tribulation is a part of the day of the Lord, the way that the word of God lays it out in Revelation. You know what I mean? Like, it's technically not a part of the day of the Lord, but it's that, Revelation 1, when it gives that threefold diagram or outline, the things that were, are, and shall be, I think is maybe Ecclesiastes, I'm quoting, but whatever it is in Revelation 1. So the tribulation is a part of that, because it's just like we've said before, the rapture and the second coming, they're not the same thing, but really the rapture is just the first part of the second coming. Like, it's a twofold, deal, whatever. So, but yeah, so like this is not dealing with, because we're going to tie all this back into the rapture. Like, the reason why me and Big Kai are even interested in this subject matter so much is because we're not like the listener doesn't need to hear us say all this because we're wondering when the tribulation's coming. We actually don't care. We just want to know, like, we're more interested in the rapture's coming, because the rapture's coming before the tribulation. And obviously a lot of the comments are a pre-trib position is so rare today. Yeah. But that doesn't, like, somebody has asked me before, they're like, does it worry you that most people don't agree? And I'm like, no, gosh, no, that gives me comfort. That gives me comfort when most of the world, even though if they're believers, when most of the people don't. I mean, do we believe that there's a great falling away or not? So no, that doesn't make me uncomfortable that most people don't agree with a pre-trib rapture. But so because me and Big Cow are pre-trib, so if we say this, so this is the order of end time stuff. It's the rapture, then it's the 7-year tribulation, then it's the second coming into the millennium. Okay, so if all this context is tribulation, and we're about to put parameters and time frames on how far away that could be, and the day of the Lord, the return of Christ, which I believe Matthew, the day or hour reference is talking about, because it's talking about tribulation, all that. If we're saying, okay, that's this far away, at least, or there's a cutoff point for that, then we're also saying there's a cutoff point for the rapture, because the rapture precedes those things. So though the context of Matthew 24 is not talking about the rapture, like, let's say that we say, okay, because of this fig tree thing, and because of the time frame that the Bible lays out a generation is, we think a cutoff point for the second advent in the tribulation is bam. Okay, well, then we can subtract time actually to get to the rapture, so it speeds it up even that much more. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. So it's motivating. It's very motivating. And so this doesn't do away with the imminent return of Christ or anything like that. It's like me and Kyle have said. I mean, look, no matter what, at least, well, it's like this. People will say sometimes, that you need to always, because it actually is a biblical principle. So I don't need to dismiss it like it's no big deal. But we're actually called to look for that blessed hope. Book of Titus says that. So that is biblical. But at the same token, like, people are, if we just live in light of the judgment seat of Christ, that accomplishes that too. And so, but we believe that, there's been a falling away already, and we believe that there's nothing that has to happen for the rapture to take place. And so anything that we say in this episode, that, like, hey, we see this time frame, we're not saying again that it's going to happen on that year. I'm going to give that analogy of the test thing again, Big Cow, but it's like, if you have a project due for school or for something, and they say you have to turn it in by a certain date, you do not have to turn it in on that date. Now, I always do. And everything school-wise I've ever done, I always turn it on the date. and sometimes a little after, you know. But the Lord's not like that. He don't go past his dates. But you can turn it in early. That's my point. And so, yeah, so